My friend Viper told me today that he hadn't received the Leaving Vault 76 achievement on Xbox One. He was level 86 when he found out. It was at that moment that I decided it's time to give the full review. With no clear picture of when any new content will come in, now seems appropriate to give Fallout 76 its final score. In my review in progress, I said that I was enjoying the game, that the times I had spent at the 30-hour mark were of enough quality and interest to warrant a 4 out of 5 from me. A solid 4 too. If this game was a single player with that much time solely devoted to story, it would have kept that score. But what began as a fantastical journey into West Virginia quickly devolved into nightmare ride through hillbilly buttfuck land. Fallout 76 is your standard loot and builder RPG from Bethesda Studios. If you played any of the Fallouts since number 3, you'll know what to expect. At least, you'll think you'd know what to expect. We know Bethesda games have the bugs, and they can be humorous and glaring in their previous outings. But this game is the buggiest full release by a major developer / studio I have ever seen, and I played Mass Effect Andromeda. The sheer amount of times enemies floated, sank, or just popped in made the Stockholm Syndrome set in until I was just okay with it. I have this suspicion that the game at release was actually the beta, replaced by that 53 gig update a week later. No update has ever been larger than the initial release. I don't care what kind of bullshit Bethesda says. The fact that early access beta players got to keep their experience and progress only reinforces this theory. But I no scientist, I a gamer. The forced implement of the VAT system in Fallout 76 is just the worst. I get limitations of space-time in an online game, but make the tool useful, or at least look cool in execution. Shooting something from one corner of the screen to the other just looks like shit, and looks even shittier when that something is highlighted in scanline puke green. Most of the fun in combat is had just hitting things in your power armor, which is fun in any game, really. And that seems to be the only way to play Fallout 76. Spinning it all in your precious power armor, eating away heavy-ass power cores, and hoping the next enemy drops those power screws you really need. Speaking of screws, the crafting from Fallout 4 is here, though it's much more limited in Fallout 76. You can still build just about anything, but you can only build so much of it now, and that'll probably be destroyed by the first errant Mirelurk queen. See, the grind element comes into play on this part, often going to specific locations to find rare or even just common materials. The occasional planned reward or recipe find is nice, giving some element of progression to your character and the world. It's about the only stuff that makes this game kind of MMO-ish. It's just too bad that to make the most of the good stuff requires hours of searching, grinding, along with copious amounts of good luck. I enjoyed the setting. I just wish there was more than a sharded story on top of it. With so much colon to explore, I didn't want to wait for just more shit to flow on down. The stories are basically just doing faction quests left by audio recordings, or log entries, or robots, which I guess count as NPCs, but no other living persons inhabit West Virginia, excluding your friends and maybe about 15 other online randos. And while the game does try to explain the absence of humans, it never shakes the lack of purpose and hollow feeling behind your actions. And it raises so many questions. For example, how are we supposed to reproduce? I can't fuck my friends. At least not in the make a baby way. And there can be only 2 reasons why locations like the mystery buttons or the vaults that can't be opened. 1. Bethesda released an incomplete game. Or 2, Bethesda honestly thought players would take their time and there would be no need to add more story content for at least 3 months. If this was a 5-year-old game, that might be acceptable for an expansion. But with a game that was supposed to be this big, being bored before hour 76 is just shit. I shouldn't be bored with any online RPG content until at least hour 100. But remember, this isn't an MMORPG, it's an abortion. Misery loves company. The only thing that saves this game and what made my game time so much more enjoyable was the multiplayer aspect. Viper Bay, Helix, and some other pros made this fun. Watching nukes that we set off, exploring caves and bunkers, fighting scorch beasts together, or even just helping with materials, quests, and posing for those precious pictures were moments that stick out as engaging and fun. But playing solo shows the ugly nature of this Bethesda beast. Getting dropped from a server after a nuke strike, quests glitching because a team member has already completed it, only seeing a teammate's floating nameplate, or occasionally 2 nameplates at different locations. Those are just a few of the glitches that break the immersion and make Fallout 76 an exercise in anger management rather than an enjoyable night smashing glowing ghouls with your buds. The soundtrack is just repurposed StarCraft music. The additional licensed music is nice, like the greatest hits of Fallout, plus a few new tunes, but it gets repeated so much that you won't listen to it soon after starting. Surprisingly, the classical station contained the most songs, most of which are instantly recognizable. The music is kind of like a sneak preview of the game. An exciting start, followed by repetition of a gameplay anyone could have done. Final score, 2 out of 5. Niche is the nicest thing to say about Fallout 76. I can't recommend this game to much more than the most hardcore and patient of fans. While I enjoyed the approaches it takes to gameplay that prey on my more baser Oblivion instincts of fight, loot, and explore, most gamers won't like Fallout 76. There really is no excuse for a supposedly grand story that wallows at hour 35, giving new meaning to lack of content in an online game. Bethesda should have rolled out story content in the first month, instead of just a 50% increase in base storage capacity. I could see why Todd Howard was so quick to dismiss the MMO staple this game was catching during the first reveal. See, competent MMOs have months worth of content upon release. Fallout 76 has maybe 2 weeks worth of playability for the hardcore crowd. Anyone beyond hour 50 is probably just going for specific armor sets and complete map exploration. I like this game. That's why it hurts me to give it this low of a score. Yet fans and other hopefuls deserve more than this. I know Bethesda likes to announce and release in the same year, but maybe they should knock that shit off. A delay is okay, so long as the final product isn't Fallout 76. Like the other underperforming online game released this year, Sea of Thieves, it'll take some time before Fallout 76 finds its footing. But I have faith in this title. I know it'll be something special someday, just not right now. Dang nabbit. This was the Apocalypse Surviving Gaming Garbage Man. Till the next game, hold on to those sacks.